and the dragons come in the night.
Welcome to episode, what is this, 90? Is it 89? It
89 or 90.
It's 89, episode 89.
Episode 89. So I take it we started.
We've started now. I like what you did.
Yeah, we always start.
We just jumped right in. So
We do a cold open.
That works.
we have here a friend, Chris Cardone.
Hello. How are
Hi.
you?
Green is your
Oh,
color.
It is alien green.
Funny, that shirt looks a lot like you.
It's
I get that's got the
actually my shirt.
mustache, you know. Did you design that?
My
What does that say?
website.
Ah, there we go.
Modulus 10.
Modulus 10.
Oh, so, okay, that's why.
Awesome.
It's actually me.
You know, you have very strong personal branding.
Yeah. I'm kind of a look at me kind of guy.
You're kind of hard. You can't avoid looking at or hearing Chris whenever he's anywhere.
I mean that's funny. I learned from a guy Ryan Pollocky. Have you ever heard of Pure Drama?
No.
Band in town. Oh, they changed the name to A Shoreline Dream and then did really, really, really well.
Oh, yeah. Shoreline
so
Dream I have. Yeah.
Ryan, just blah, 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 amazing artist, everything, like super smart dude. But he said something to me. He goes, man, you're only as big as you make yourself. He goes, make the shirts, make the posters, man. People will just think you're huge. So I'm like, all right.
That is actually brilliant. I
Yeah,
steal it. That
exactly.
is smart.
It's like you're only,
Yeah.
So I only made 4, but everybody noticed. But that was the whole thing because people see you walk, you're like, just like you did. They're like,
Yeah.
that looks just like you. Well, it is.
Yeah,
It's me.
'cause I made
It's
it.
my branding.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like it's a topic of conversation, right?
Indeed,
So
indeed.
It's a look at me shirt.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
works.
we're gonna look at and listen to Chris Cardone
Hi.
today. You know, I was trying to think how we met, and I think the way we met is Jacob
Warner.
brought me in to play bass at that one show. Is that how we met?
No, we met before that.
Oh, okay.
You were giving him vocal lessons.
Uh-huh.
Correct. And I played with you first. Up
Really?
north.
In what?
I
with
sat
what
in
band?
one night. Remember on bass?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
At the Dickens. It was at the Dickens.
At the Dickens Theater.
I totally forgot about that.
We had
Wow.
known each other a while. It wasn't like
Yeah.
you were like, oh,
Yeah,
hey, I know
yeah.
this bass player. No, Jacob had introduced us and we had hung out and I knew you as AO, the vocal coach and the band leader. But then I think there was, who was your bass player at the time? Or he still is, isn't he? No.
Well, no. I
No.
mean,
It's been a long
I mean,
time.
for
Anyway.
a while it was me, and then it was Tyler Morris.
Tyler, yeah, he was out of town.
Okay.
And remember, we had one rehearsal. You gave me the book with the pop charts.
Yeah.
And that was, I showed up like
I
2 days
totally
later.
forgot about
We
that.
did
That's
that
awesome.
gig. Jacob
Yeah.
was singing with you.
Oh my gosh.
Remember, he was in
Okay.
That
in
era.
your-
Yeah. Jacob era.
So-
Man, I have known you
yeah.
a long time.
So our paths have,
Yeah.
crossed and crossed like,
Yeah. Yeah.
As a,
and
yeah,
stuff like that, as
often
they always do. It's So that's
Yeah,
how
cool.
we met, and then you played bass and did the intro song with us for our CD release party.
Uh-huh.
That was freaking awesome.
Yep. And I've
now-
recorded with you.
Yeah, you're on a couple of my songs.
Yep. And now you're doing pop choir,
choir
at Performance
and
High
lessons.
and like taking lessons with me. So yeah. Okay. So that's the
So
quick.
that's the Reader's Digest of how we met. But that gets Jacob was in Princess. We had just started, really getting serious with that, and he was singing in your band. So
Yes.
I loved Princess, by the way. I thought that was such a great band.
it was cool.
Who was the drummer in that?
Dre?
Yeah.
we just had his funeral Saturday.
Oh my
Oh.
god,
He
dude! I'm so
passed away
sorry.
during COVID. We just have never had an opportunity. There's some pictures on my Facebook page. This is weird. So Dre was in my band Cosmic Pond back in the 90s. And Dre and I were this prog rock rhythm section in a hippie jam band.
Oh my gosh!
So we had this keyboard player and guitar player who could make their instruments just sing and stuff. And in the background, we're doing 7/8 freaking dun 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 dun. I mean,
Oh
we're
my
the only
gosh.
hippie jam band that had mosh pits. It was so cool. We had like 2 songs that were going. Anyway, so Dre was a drummer in that band, just a phenomenal drummer. And then yeah, that was up until like 2001, and then we all went our separate ways, and then all got back together with
And-
Jacob after Princess. Jacob's idea to form Princess after we got kicked out of Social Fuse.
Oh, that's right. I can't
Never
believe you were.
I've
Were
never
you
been
in Social
kicked out.
Fuse?
I was in Social Fuse.
Oh my
I
gosh.
got kicked out. We all
That is
got
one of the
kicked out.
longest running bands.
That is one of the
Rob,
longest.
you know what?
Rob.
Bless his heart. He is an amazing guitar player.
Yes, very.
He's phenomenal.
Great tone.
Dude will not give up on that name. The band has morphed into different musical styles.
Sure.
And I'm like, you go. I mean, good for you, man.
Yeah.
Just he keeps
Yeah.
plugging away, and
Yeah.
it's good. It's not like they're bad. They're like a really good band. So it's like cool. It's just, you know, it's just strange the way he's held on to that same band name forever, which is
But you got
Cool.
kicked out? You didn't just leave? Is
no. I mean,
that what you said?
yeah. I guess this story has been made public enough. All right. Yeah, let's just go down this path. So in Social Fuse, Jacob took to referring to Rob as Princess because Rob was very
That would,
controlling.
that would not have been popular.
Yeah.
I think anybody
so-
would appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean it was one of those things to like say it once, but it kind of stuck. And so and I respect Rob. I would have, if I would have been Rob's shoes, it would have been a lot worse than just firing everybody. So I give him props for
Yeah.
just firing everybody. But Rob had a friend who owned a guitar company, and they lent us instruments because we played the West Tone booth. Social Fuse was playing
No way.
the West Tone booth, the in-ear booth. 'Cause I
Yeah,
used to work
sure.
there.
Oh, okay.
So we were the silent band. We were playing 2
Right.
shows a day, every day at NAMM at the silent booth.
That's crazy.
That's
so
awesome.
Tony got us guitars, and Tony put Rob up. Tony made magic happen. Well, Tony's dropping us off at the airport, and we're all getting out of the car, and it's been rough for Rob on the trip, and Jacob was just being Jacob, and anyway, so Jacob just looks at Tony and goes, "Thanks for taking care of us and Princess all weekend," and Rob just snaps, and we got fired.
I hate how much I love that story.
So, but the worst part is then we spite named our band
I
Princess.
know. I did not know that's why you named it.
It was just supposed to be a vanity project, one album, just do it, have fun, and it turned into something kind of big.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We ended up being around for quite some time, and I think what made it really so cool is that all three of us, and I think it was actually Jacob's idea of just like not caring. Like, so he called bars up. Oh, yeah, we'd like to play. Oh, you have to come and play on a Wednesday. We're like, yeah, never mind. They're like, what? Yeah, no, we don't do
There is
Wednesdays.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Well, you're a new band here. It's like, fine, then we won't play.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, we got this Saturday coming up.
Really?
So yeah,
Did they come around?
Oh, every time. It was like
Oh.
Jacob played this game with them. It was hilarious where it was just like when they would be like, oh, you have to play a weekday. He's like, nah, we don't do that. We're all seasoned veterans, man. We
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
And then,
There
eventually
is
we'd
something to
get the
that.
call where they'd be like,
Yeah.
wow, these people are weird. Maybe we should have them.
Yeah. Before we go anywhere else, let's talk about your journey and like how did you I love talking about this with people. I'm sorry if it's not fun for other people. I know you've been in a million bands and done a million
Yeah.
things, but what got you into music?
What got me so I come from a musical family. My dad was a singer. He did an album, his first album when he was 4. I have it mounted on my wall. It's a
Oh my gosh.
a
Jeez.
true cut steel plate, and he does 4 covers. One of them
Whoa.
is "Don't Tread on Me." I can't remember what the other 3 are because then that's embarrassing.
I mean,
should
they're all
know this.
time. Yeah.
But he was like 4, maybe 5.
Oh
dad
my
was singing,
gosh.
And then my dad could whistle like melodies and shit. It was like hauntingly creepy. Like music would be playing anything from like Barry Manilow or something on the stereo. And my dad be like whistling along with it, and you're just like,
A little too good.
yeah, just kind of
you're
like, that.
"How are
That's
you
creepy.
doing that?" Yeah.
So my grandfather was a violin player and a steel
Wow.
lap player. So there's music in the family. My older brother is a bass player. Rest in peace. He was awesome bass player. But no, I don't know. It's just always there. My parents like were really cool with it. We got a piano when I was like 8, and it was just downhill from there. I mean, I
Wow.
mean, my parents are awesome. They, as soon as I started getting into like really, I mean, like I was playing clarinet in band because they didn't have anything else. I couldn't play synthesizers. I got a Farfisa VIP 345. If you want to just have some fun, Google that.
Yeah.
It is an electronic drawbar organ, so it's like a fake Hammond, but
Whoa.
it sounded really cheesy.
I don't think
It
I've ever
was really-
seen one of those.
It's like a B-52s. It's like the Vox. It's
Oh,
like
it's like
Farfisa and the
a
Voxes are
Continental.
very
Yeah.
So they got me that, and I started playing it a lot. And then I started hooking up with kids in high school. And it literally, I just with supportive parents, all of a sudden, I was a 12-year-old kid who had a Pro 1, the sequential circuits.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
What's that?
and it like this classic, better,
what
just monophonic lead synthesizer with a step sequencer, or it was like a mini Moog on crack.
It was one
And
of
this
the
was in
first.
the 80s sometime?
early 80s.
Oh my gosh, so really
like
cutting
really
edge.
early on.
One of the first real commercial like synths like that
Synthesizers,
was
yeah.
actually not because
$5,000
exactly.
for a Moog. This
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, and keep in mind, this was in probably 19.
Yeah.
No, oh God, I graduated. This could have been early 80s, way early 80s.
Yeah.
It was like $1,200, and my parents bought it for me.
I mean that's
And then
Wow.
my
Yeah.
journey was just like, for a little while, my older brother turned me on to all the vintage music, got me into Yes and stuff like that. So for a while, I wanted to wear a cape. I wanted to be Rick Wakeman,
Yeah.
and then I discovered Jan Hammer, right, and
Oh,
started
yeah, of
listening to him
course.
and Jeff
Yeah.
Beck, and then but also the kid side of me was still jamming to Kiss, and I loved all the crap that the metal kids got into.
I would-
Iron Maiden. And all
I
that
would
shit.
have absolutely guessed Kiss was part of the early recipe. Jeff
Fuck
Beck,
yes.
I was not. That would have
Okay,
surprised
Kiss
me.
would have came first. Kiss
Okay.
would have been first.
Okay,
Jeff
right.
Beck would have been something my brother turned me on to.
Okay.
The Doors, and a lot of stuff he turned me on to I didn't like. Like, I have a very controversial opinion. I think they're one of the best bands on planet Earth, but they never made anything that I want to sit down and listen to, and that's the Beatles.
Yeah.
They're amazeballs, but there's nothing that I want to go, oh, you know what would make my day? If I listened to the White Album from beginning to end.
I feel the same.
I
Sorry to
agree.
say.
And part of this podcast, one of our segments sometimes is unpopular
Unpopular
opinions. I also have the same unpopular opinion about the Beatles. It's amazing. I don't want to sit around and listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, like when I hear a song, like one of their their oddball ones, I love it. I'll take it in, but then it goes away, and
Yeah.
it's not in my library,
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway, so my brother introduced me stuff that I got into Led Zeppelin through him. I got into Pink Floyd, yes, Rush, and then all of a sudden I wanted to be Geddy Lee because he did it all.
Right. Yeah, he
Bass
did
pedals,
keys and
keyboards,
bass.
vocals.
Yeah.
And he had that voice, and it was just like, fuck yeah, I want to do that. So, forever. Then I was in 3-piece bands after that.
Wow.
You know,
So, and you mentioned at some point you went to school for music or engineering?
yeah, I
or-
went to University of Colorado, and shifted gears. Good segue.
Yeah.
Because in my
great
senior
segue.
year, it got to the point where I started to look at my employment opportunities compared to what I wanted to do in life.
Right.
And was just like, they weren't lining up.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the conscious choice to switch gears and get a computer science degree at the last minute.
Right.
And because I stayed in music,
Yeah. Sure.
but I had always had a side hustle, whether it was a full-time gig or not, so I did a cool transition. So when I was at school, even though my parents are like, they paid for my college education, I've got all the advantages. They did make me work. Like they're like, you
Right.
have to.
Yeah, sure.
We got your tuition covered, but you got to work. You got to
Yeah.
pay your bills. So now I don't know how long you guys have been here, but do you remember the club 23 Parish?
No.
I got here in 2000.
Oh, okay, yeah, this predates you guys. So I ended up being the house sound guy at 23 Parish. And so I worked nights, would go home, sleep, go to school, go home, sleep, go to work. So
Right.
it worked. So when I started to realize what my options were with a music degree, I didn't like them.
Right.
And I was just like, all right, how can I adjust here, but not get out of the music industry? So I went and got my degree, and I was in computer input output. But the whole time I stayed in music. I was performing. I was in bands. I was in cover bands, so I was making good money. So I, for the longest time, then when I graduated college, we opened the Alley Recording Studios, Alley Records. We had a record label. We did all that kind of stuff. So I realized that I could branch out and do all these cool things. So I got an engineer. I studied engineering instead of performance, and figured out how to mix albums. And I studied, with Bill Porter, and he did all the Elvis Presley shit.
With Bill Porter, I didn't know that. Dude.
I studied with Bill Porter and Roy Pritz. I got to study with both of those guys, man. I know,
guys. That's
Everly
really
Brothers.
like those
he
dudes
would
were...
play us mixes that he did of Elvis that were mono that sound better than the stereo shit we hear now. And he would explain to us. We were at Listen Up once, and he explained to us that he had one mic, and he would adjust the band.
Like move people further. Yeah.
And it was just like, holy shit. So I got exposed to all the good shit, analog. Roy Pritz was all about analog synthesizers, analog recording.
Sure.
Bill was like tape and ribbon mics.
Right.
So, and then, do you guys know Clark Hagan? Ring a bell?
I do know Clark Hagan.
Yeah. So Clark was the one I did the intern with down in Kentucky, because that's where Bill was working. So
really?
the internship was with Bill Porter and Clark Hagan.
Oh my gosh!
And Clark and I used to live like down the street from each other.
Wow.
There's a lot of connections here. It's an incestual little section here.
Clark just, I don't know exactly what he had to do with it, but he had something to do with a plug-in that is
the Olive console. There was 5 consoles. He restored one of the 5. He had it in his basement forever. We got to mess with it. It's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
And he worked with the people to make the emulator.
It was
mind blowing.
Yeah. If I'm
again, but see, another perfect segue. This is a whole conversation that we're just starting to have is about how you can't be a one-trick pony.
Yeah,
right?
No, that
in this day and age, you can't be a guitar player because it doesn't pay. You can't be anything. And when you guys originally, like I said, asked me to come on here, I was like, oh, this would be a great time, because I had this argument with a person who felt that their rights were being infringed upon by technology, and I just was like, you don't have a right to be an artist. You have the opportunity to be an artist.
Well, you have the right to be an artist. You don't have the right to make a living as an artist. Like, the world doesn't owe you payment for the art you make.
So we've all kind of, in our own right, realized that, and that's kind of where my career went with that. It was like, I got the computer degree, but was still in the music industry all the way up until early 2000s is when I kind of went to work and had a steady day gig. But even then, still was in local bands, touring bands. I always had a job where I could like take the job on the road with me. So
yeah, it's a hustle for sure now.
Yeah,
probably now. I mean, I don't know that it's ever been easy to be a musician, but it's definitely changed.
Well, it's a lot harder now because there's a lot less avenues to make money. And there's a lot more competition.
Well, I mean, it's I would say there's definitely more competition. There are different ways to make money. Yeah. A lot of the old ones went away.
Yes.
Some new ones have come about. You don't have to deal with gatekeepers now if you don't want to, but that means a whole lot of hustle on your own.
Yep, a whole lot of your own advertising budget, your own legwork.
Even if you're just trying to make music as a solo artist and you're just focused on just being an artist, your time isn't spent just playing and making music. It's spent promoting and recording.
You'd be lucky if half your time
you're running a business
is music making. Half your
lucky.
time.
That's what I tell people all the time. Yeah. You could probably spend more time making music if you got a day job.
Exactly.
And just made music
and paid other people to do the things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I have someone I know recently who was complaining about why isn't it enough to just be a singer? Why can't I just sing for a living? And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
I don't, and how do you answer such a broad, overwhelming question like that? Because at no point in time, even 30, 50 years ago, would that question have ever been asked.
That's
Right? It's like, why can't I do this all the time? I don't know, because people don't pay enough money to see your art on a regular basis to feed you.
Yeah. So, I mean, fair or unfair isn't the question. It's just that's the way it is.
Yeah.
right.
Unfortunately.
And so let's start, because I'd love to have this conversation. I thought you had a really funny story of how you got onto this topic.
Okay. So, I was in a Facebook group chat with people who, and I say, well, people who are 30 and older. We'll just leave it at that. That the median age of the crowd is 30 or higher. So you're not allowed into the group if you're under 30. But a lot
Has
of people,
nothing to do with
yeah,
sex.
Exactly. No. It really
Just
it
wanna
doesn't.
clarify.
It doesn't mean anything. It's actually it's a group of LARPers, live action role play, cosplay artists, people who manufacture like foam props, theater people who design sets. I mean, it's this very artistic
Really
community,
wide, yeah.
very wide casting. And it's hard to like give it a label. And people, it's hard to give me a label. It's just like, well, it's just a bunch of weird old people, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, the topic came up because a lot of people in the group are artists, and they're like pencil, paint, ink, computer, but with a brush. They're artists, and their art is how they make their money. People were posting AI art in this chat group, and some people lost their ever-loving minds. It's theft. It's all it's doing is taking other art without other artists' permission and merging it into what you tell it to merge into.
Right.
It's evil. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, I get it. The process you described is true. Yes, it's a collective scan of all the images on the internet and not just your art, but why are you so angry that someone who's not an artist is posting these pictures in here? It's offensive. It goes against the community standards. And I'm just like, all right, well, if there's some community standards that say you can't post AI art, then I agree with you, but where are those? Well, no, it's understood.
Yeah, I know.
Is
yeah.
it? Because I'm new to the community and I did not know it, and I respect it, and I would never do it, and I pay for my art.
Yeah.
I have artists make art for me, like my stickers. That's not AI. I pay people, so I get it. I'm on your side.
Yeah.
However, if you think your little hissy fit is going to ban this tool from being used,
Right.
let's take a brief moment and go back and look at all the AI tools that you're okay with using, like that little brush that when you rub it on your screen makes fur. Oh, you didn't draw that fur. There's a little engineering going there.
Yeah.
Or for a musician like me, my modules, I use these features called random and generate, where it's like if I don't have a place to start, I hit the random button and it creates a sequence and a key for me that I tell it. Like AI, I feed it some prompts.
Yeah.
I feed it key. I feed it time signature. I feel it. Give me some swing. Make it a polka. And you just like these AI art. So wait a minute. So what am I doing? Are you against that, or are you only against the thing that's affecting your career?
Right.
Right. And then I'm just like, but even then, crying about it
It's
not going to make the tool go away. All I
Right.
did in this situation, as I was looking for an artist, made me realize I would not use that artist because his attitude towards me, he came for me with this whole, well, if you believe in this and you've never been a starving artist, and I'm just kind of like, bitch, please. I've always had the backing of, a safety net of, my family, but I've done the peanut butter tours,
Yeah.
I've lived in vans, I've played week-long gigs in Laramie, Wyoming, for $400. So, that argument's not going to win for me. Yes, I've had advantages, but no, don't even pretend I haven't played the game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was what sparked it. I was just like, well, Where do you get off just thinking that doing this one thing, drawing this one very specific art form, right? You're not even like expanding beyond the thing you like. It's like not only are you a guitar player, but you only play blues.
Right.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
And where are all the gigs? Why can't I make money?
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
really? You have to
That's-
ask yourself that? When you just came out of your mouth and you're going to ask yourself, why can't I get gigs? Well, right on. This guy was just like, well, I wouldn't work with you because your attitude sucks.
Right.
You think that this is a pissing match or technology's bad, you're going to lose so bad at this game. So I like to equate it, though obviously things are changing exponentially in intensity.
Right now, yeah.
But when the drummers were threatened by the Elisa's drum
I was
machine.
just going to bring that up. You had such a good point about that. This has always been an issue with music, that new technology comes out and then people are very resistant to it and very like, oh, that's so unfair. Now people aren't hiring drummers because they've got drum machines or
And I look at it differently. All
Yeah.
it did was spawn a completely different style of music that used drum machines.
That's how I
Metal
would look
didn't
at
go
it.
away.
Yeah.
Fucking the dude from Iron Maiden didn't lose his gig.
That's how I would. It just
Yeah.
invented
It invented
genres.
new genres of music.
Yeah.
So this is going to invent new genres of art. Let it happen.
Right.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's a lot like a very important point too is what all these technological advancements have done. They've created new amazing art because it's given access to more people
Yep.
to actually make music, whereas it used to be this like a studio costs $1 million
Yep.
and you're gonna have to and that is the only way you can possibly record music. And then we got at home cassette 4-tracks and we got drum machines and we got
Dude, some of
people
the top hits in dance these days are a kid and his laptop.
that's the whole. And when people started
Yeah.
making music on computers, people were like, "Oh, this is
it's gonna
it's
ruin
not
music.
real music."
Oh,
Blah
yeah.
blah blah.
Dream Theater's still here.
I mean, and it gave me access to
Band members we didn't have.
Right.
and,
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
and access to run a studio that could put out fairly professional products because Pro Tools could finally run on a reasonable
on a computer you could afford.
on a computer you could
Yep.
afford,
And the
so I
hardware
could-
wasn't 80K anymore.
right,
Yeah.
and I could open a studio and I could actually do not as good but comparable work to what was done.
But there was a demographic of people who then now could afford to use you.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that democratizing of music, that's maybe not the right analogy, but like more people being able to, the fact that kids now can make music on their cheap, crappy laptop with sometimes free software,
Yep.
it just is going to lead to more innovation and more access. I
People
think it's
doing
great.
more.
Yeah.
It's just, I hate to say it, it's like the drug dealer, right? First one's free. then you're hooked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, and again, I think that someone should be presenting, say, an AI image as their own. No, and the government's already decided you can't do
And-
that. Anyway, you can't copyright anything generated by AI.
And now they're making AI music, obviously. It's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Well,
what they
you don't
can
like
do.
AI. I hope you didn't like the movie Avatar.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
know,
a lot
I
of
mean,
that
when do
is-
you? So I guess that was my thing too with this guy. It was just like, well, where do you draw the line? It's like you're really upset that this could take money away from you, but are you angry at Cisco for getting all of those switchboard operators fired when they invented the network switch, and you didn't need the
A
lady
physical
punching
person
back?
to do that.
I mean, come on. Every time technology advances, it adversely affects one group and it positively affects another group.
But the point
It's
becomes
inevitable.
you got to roll with it.
Yeah.
And you've got to figure out like, well, now I need to learn some new skills. I need now I can do this instead, or
If you like
Yeah.
to draw and you want to draw your original art, great. But you know what you could do during the day? Storyboards for an animation company or graphic arts for an advertising company. I mean, you're not giving up. You're just understanding that that's not how art is right now. And don't get me wrong, it sucks. You could just be in a cool band and make enough money at a
Right.
gig to not have to go to work, but I don't ever remember that being a thing. Do you? I mean,
Well, I got into music after that was a thing, but my impression was that for a couple of decades, it was $100 a person a night, which wasn't much when I started music, but 20 years earlier, that was actually a living.
But you had to play 6 nights a week.
Well, yeah, but you didn't have to work during the day.
Yeah, but
that's your
were the
job.
were the gigs there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I'm thinking. It's just like when I was in a rock band in the doing the '80s thing. Trying to get gigs was rough. Even if you were good, just because there were so many of us.
Were there?
Oh my God! Holy crap! There were so many hair bands, so many fucking hair bands. In this town.
There was a real
Holy crap!
I hit it. Yeah.
So when I was in like Lynx and Hard Luck Kid, it was just like, oh my God, the only gigs that pay decent are places nobody wants to play. Like Cheyenne Supper Club. Cheyenne, Wyoming was one of the best paying fucking gigs
Really?
ever. They gave us hotel rooms, everything, food, beer.
Wow.
And I think after a week I would get like $800 still. And this was in the 86 to 89.
Okay, so $800
Yeah.
a
So that was a
week.
lot
So
of money.
make it $3,200 a month.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
pretty
that was
good.
a
Yeah.
lot of money.
If you could, yeah.
But-
We did.
But you have to spend your time in Cheyenne.
But yeah,
Wyoming.
sometimes
Yeah,
Wyoming.
and it's rough, and
Yeah. But those days those days are over. And
Yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. So now
yeah.
all of a sudden that you can't play or sing or do that every 6 nights a week because there are no gigs that often. And
there are
Right,
very few
right.
people who can figure some way out of that.
So when you were then, obviously we all started off as bright-eyed freaking, I'm gonna be a rock star.
Yeah.
Where was your turning point? When did you realize that you had to kind of broaden your horizons?
That's a great question.
That is a great question. By the way, this whole thing has been great. I have editing in my head, and you're running this show, man. I love it. It's gonna be real easy to stitch together.
Remember what we talked about? Thanks for coming. I like to talk.
I think I got a little bit lucky in that some of my voyage into engineering and then running live sound and stuff was just for the love of it. Like I loved records, and so I started getting curious about like how are these things actually put together.
Oh, very
like
cool,
I was a
yeah.
very live guy, and then I started getting curious about how they were putting together, and then I started obsessively with a 4-track, and then it just sort of grew. And then before I knew it, I could make money also engineering, not just playing.
So it was almost unconscious. You just kind of were like fascinated by something. It took you down a road, and then you were just there.
I built up some skills, and then as far as running live sound, I never learned how to run live sound. I just ran live sound for my own band enough times that then I realized, I could get paid to do this as well.
Yep.
So, and in Jacksonville, for a while, right before I moved out here, I was full-time, but that wasn't full-time doing gigs. That was a couple nights a week doing gigs and a couple nights a week running sound.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of spread out thing. And then out here, and I've had jobs in music instrument retail. Like I love music instrument retail. I wish that was still a viable
You're a sick
career
human
thing.
being.
Yeah, dude, I love it, man. I don't know if you want to stand around and talk about gear all day. I am down.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess when I hear music retail, I think of every experience I've had in a Guitar Center and go, this fucking sucks.
Well, Guitar Center used to be good when Justin worked there.
Early on it was
was a hotbed and Pro Sound and all those places.
I was at Guitar Center a couple times for a couple of years, and back then, the commission structure was good, so you could make
a living.
Like, you could make like a normal adult living doing it, and then also every single department at every single Guitar Center had a legit dude like you who. You know what I mean? But like
who
a
just
guy
knew
who,
if
like,
you asked him a question, you got real, not
he wasn't
sales
just
advice.
into keyboards. Like he knew how all the stuff worked. And every Guitar Center had
thank you.
like a couple of those like guru guys because they could make a living doing it, and it was a nice day job and whatever.
Yep.
And I loved back in the days when it was like that because to me, it was just standing around talking about gear all day. And I've talked about it before. I didn't do so much. I wound up working into a thing where I wasn't selling people their first guitars. I was mainly working with like churches and businesses, and
You were doing installs or large purchases.
I was like the guy.
We need speakers, an amp, a mixer, and some microphones.
Yeah, and you know, every church would
Please
have
put the
that.
bundle together for me.
We have to spend the rest of our budget for the year, or we're not going to get the rest of the, you know, so like
Use it or lose it, and then it goes
March
down.
was a
yeah.
huge day. A huge. People would come in to be like, "We got to spend $25,000. What can we upgrade?" And I would be like, "I could think of some things." Man.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I would love that. I made like half my yearly income in like
Just like one or two
in
sales.
1 or 2 months. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, that was my thing, and then more to your question. You know, when I was out here and I was working for a pro audio company, and then that fell apart, and then that's when I started transitioning into teaching, and got back into a little more serious. Engineering and stuff, and I would say I really rediscovered teaching. That had been something I'd never enjoyed, but I sort of started teaching more stuff than I was into. Like I'm not a great guitar teacher, for a lot of reasons, but like now I teach much more stuff like the stage performance and the more kind of esoteric, big picture stuff, and that stuff.
How to be a musician, not how to play a guitar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
much
cool.
more passionate about that. So I've sort of moved into doing that. Not that it's most of what I do or anything, but it, you know, to your point, it's one of the things that put together.
Yeah, it's the piece. It's one of the 10 pieces of the puzzle that makes your
it
life
possible to
still stay in music.
Yeah, and that's very much what it is. And Adrian was saying, because Adrian owns a music school.
Now, how did so? Here you are. I'm a lead singer. I'm singing pop and guitar. I love the 80s. And then what happened? Where did it go south?
Well, no, my story's the opposite. Like, you know, I was in software. I was making bank, especially
go
for
way back,
so
Wayback
yeah.
Machine.
Way back.
Like high school. Like, all right. So
oh
like,
yeah.
I mean,
I never considered music to be a career. I never thought it was something people did for a living.
Oh wow.
I don't have any musicians in my
Weird.
family other than my.
backfired.
I know. My story's the opposite to yours.
It's kind of an interesting story because of that. Right?
The only person in my family that plays an instrument at all, and I'm talking extended family, is my uncle who plays the Native American flute, and he picked it up when he was like 60. So no music in my family. Wow. I liked to sing, but I didn't think about music being something you could do and get paid for until I got laid off from my software development job, and I started taking voice lessons. And even not then, but like a couple years into voice lessons, my teacher invited me to start a wedding band.
Oh, cool.
And then I was like, oh, there's actually some money in doing weddings.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Weddings, bar mitzvahs.
I had no idea people got paid to do.
Rich
I was
people
like,
event shit.
I could get paid to sing. So then that was my, you know, my rosy honeymoon of music, and then we had a falling out ultimately, and you know, then I was in the normal music path where it's like, 10 different streams of income. But teaching was a plan B. It was what I was doing to bring in some money while I figured out what my next job was actually going to be.
Right.
And then
now
3
look at
years,
this,
3 years in, I was like, I think my plan B is my
the
forever
plan,
plan.
yeah.
I've finally gotten decent
That's
at
actually
this,
kinda
and I
good,
like
though.
it.
Yeah.
So now it's just I've had the privilege to design a life that has the right amount of time dedicated to each thing I like to do.
I'm looking forward to getting back to that because I'm just, as you've seen, I'm reinventing myself again. I mean, at 56 years old, I'm now a DJ. And it's so funny because I always used to like frown on that. I even worked at Beatport. And I was just like,
wow.
You guys are just like, this is what you do and you get paid. I'm like, wow. And here I'm with my modulars trying to do it all. I'm an analog purist, which again, you know, I almost fed into the dark side, right? I was one of those people. Oh,
Computer's
I'm a purist.
bad.
Computer's bad. So I've been exploring that, and it turns out I'm pretty damn good at it. And so,
and then he dresses like a lion.
Yeah, so I started doing it, and I started doing my electronic music, and it wasn't getting much traction. And so I just like, I got this wild hair on my ass. It's just like all these bands that like they capitalize on an image versus their sound. The sound may still be good, but really, you go to see them for what they look like, right? Kiss. So I'm like, you know
Right.
what? I'm gonna totally steal Dead Mouse's idea, but like flip it and make it a cat.
You need to send me a photo, and I'll just edit a photo.
We should edit a photo.
I'll edit a photo into this podcast.
Yeah, we should do that.
And turns out that, yeah, I mean, it's weird because we come from a background where the music sold itself and it was about the music and it was about the talent. And now I'm
Right.
starting to realize that now if you have something to sell, a t-shirt, a lifestyle, you know what I mean? It's just like a
Yeah.
brand.
A message,
Yeah,
a tribe,
yeah,
a feeling.
You it takes on a whole life of its own.
Yeah.
Right.
You connect with people who are into that. So I've connected with this, community that just, like I play these raves and I go to these raves and I show up dressed like that and edit in picture here. Yes. Here,
Yeah, right here.
This is what I look like when I gig. All right, I'm gonna send a couple pictures, and then
Okay.
there's another picture of here. Here I'm standing here, looking all prim and proper. Here I'm playing, and here it's just me standing.
You
there.
have to go
All
to
right,
our
I'm gonna
YouTube-
send you 3 pictures.
Okay,
to
okay.
edit, yeah.
You have to go to the YouTube version.
So, but yeah, and all of a sudden I discovered that if you have this persona, and then you incorporate a little extra into it, it goes off the charts. So like.
Yeah.
When I play original music mixed in with, DJ tunes and tracks, top 100 from Beatport and stuff like that. But what I do is I remove the vocals, and then I go out in that freaking costume, and while the tracks are playing, I go out in the crowd and I sing. I got wireless in-ears and a wireless mic, and literally it's hilarious. But that just triggers people, and they're so into it. So literally, I stole a bunch of stuff from Maris the Great, right? Totally,
We talked about Maris.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to
and
put up
his
a photo
whole-
of Maris the Great.
Yeah, and all
Don't
of
look too
his-
much
yeah.
of it up, but
But his whole, even when he goes out, he never breaks character.
Right.
So yeah, I go out dressed as this lion, and it's it's kid friendly. I don't play any tracks that use like profanity and stuff like that because that's real popular. Like,
Yeah.
triple X rated and all
Yeah,
that shit.
yeah,
I don't do
sure,
any of
sure,
that.
sure.
But no, it's been this weird transition. But the whole point is like I went from this analog purist, I even worked at Beatport and DJs. Oh, all you do is play tracks. To I write my own tracks.
Right.
And I play my own music, and I intermix other artists, occasionally with it. But I'm like, wow, people are digging this, and I'm having a blast. And I don't
Yep.
need a band, and I can show up and carry all my gear in at once.
And you were talking. Oh, sorry. I keep.
No.
You were
No.
trying to say something?
It was one of the biggest things in my musical development in my life was sort of that moment with DJs where, speaking of working at Guitar Center, I was selling to a lot of DJs, and I had that same like, oh, all you're doing is playing music. This is bullshit, man. You guys are getting paid like what an entire
No,
band
it turns
get
out
paid.
they're writing their own loops, and all that
well-
shit they're playing is usually shit they wrote.
And what blew my mind, even the guys who were just club DJs and they're just playing tunes, I realized it was going on, and I was like, wait, you just have to get your head around this, because I just don't get it. And what I realized is what they're so good at, and I know I've told the story a million times, is reading the crowd and interacting and moving.
And playing audio Tetris for 2.5 hours without fucking up.
It's such a talent. And one of the guys in Jacksonville that I became really close friends with, and I would just go sit in the DJ booth and watch him DJ, and he had this amazing ability. Part of how he was getting paid is he had a percentage of the bar, and he had this amazing ability to once an hour or so he would clear the dance floor.
Yeah, make
and
everybody
would
go
get a
bar
drink.
and get a drink. Yeah,
And then-
he'd
and
drop
then
into some down tempo chill for like 3 minutes.
He was so
and people
good
would be
at
like,
it.
"Oh, cool, let's go get a drink."
And his ability to read that crowd, and I just went. It really was a huge moment of development for me because I was like, "Oh, there's another level of like paying attention to the energy in the room and all
also,
that stuff."
I use modular synths and sequencers on top of it that are not synced. to the turntables.
Oh.
So I do.
Oh my gosh.
live
That
beat
is-
matching. So
that is
It's
terrifying.
not
Oh my
vinyl.
gosh.
It's not like vinyl, but it's like vinyl where my Deluge sequencer is not talking to anything. And everything that's going on in my laptop is on its own.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like,
No,
There's some real
thanks.
if I
talent
miss,
there.
No,
you
thanks.
slip that disc, you slow it down, you get it locked back up.
That is a
Oh
But
my
yeah,
gosh.
so I
Yeah.
do a lot of that too. So I have a newfound respect for DJs because, yeah, that is, like I said, it's Tetris where the shapes are coming at you and you're just trying to
Yeah.
make sure that there's no silence.
What's your act name?
The act for my DJ, so I do two things. If you want to see me DJ, look up amra-thelion.live. That's
Amra,
when I
A-M.
just amra-thelion.live.com. I think I got
Yeah.
multiple. But that's like my DJ. I still play the synth festivals as Modulus 10, this guy,
Oh, okay.
where I do just modular work.
Right.
So this
So-
whole new side thing was just like, again, that new avenue. I've got 3 avenues now instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
2. Whereas like I'm a bass player, I'm a synthesis.
Let's
I'm
talk
a
about
DJ.
what an analog or modular synth is.
I love the best equation is if you look at it like a car or a synth. All right, you look at your synthesizer. You have all your components left to right. Just imagine if you could rearrange them. So
What-
instead of the
like what?
oscillator going into the filter first, it could go into the amplifier first.
Okay, let's simplify. Let's simplify from there.
Okay.
Okay, so like I'm thinking, Mom.
Hi.
She says
What?
synthesizer.
Modular
A
synthesizers
synthesizer. She's like, it
101.
looks like a keyboard. You press a button and maybe different
Hey.
sounds come out.
Yeah.
That's the simplest
Let's
version of a
bring
synth.
this down
so
to 101.
Your version of, a,
Yeah.
of, a, of a, syn- a
101.
modular synthesizer
So-
is it's a voltage triggered.
Okay.
Right?
My
know.
version
Yeah,
is
okay.
yes. There is MIDI and there is digital in modular land. I choose to kind of steer clear of it.
Okay.
That's just because I use modular for that very nasty, out of tune, nasty.
Yeah.
I use it for that specific reason. So why buy one that fixes the problem that you don't think is a problem?
Okay.
Right. But what I try to explain to people is your synthesizer has parts. Your keyboard has a sound generator, a sound modifier, and a sound amplifier. And when you buy a synthesizer, you're stuck with that manufacturer's version of that thing.
Of each thing. It's all built into
Yeah,
the keyboard.
it's like boom.
Yeah.
You have a Roland
Yeah.
oscillator, a Roland filter, and a Roland amplifier. So what I like to use the analogy, because most people understand cars better than they understand synthesizers. Imagine if you could build a car where all the interconnected were normalized and standardized. So you want to build a race car, so you get a Ferrari transmission, but you're in Denver, so you want a Chevy big block.
Right.
But you want that new Ford carburetor. Imagine if they all fit together and you could build exactly what you wanted.
Exactly
that
the
ran
car you
exactly the way you wanted.
Right.
That's what you can do with these synthesizers. It's like I love. There's a company called WMD. They make an oscillator called the Legion. It just has a sound, but and it's like so. I have that, and then I have different brands of all the other components. So I just patch them. So every time I sit down, I build a synthesizer like Legos. Right? You have
Yeah.
all the different pieces
Yeah.
and you lock them together because they have all the same little squares.
And you
and
literally are
nubs.
plugging cables into
Full on, like it's like the old telephone patch.
Exactly.
days.
It looks
Yeah.
a lot like
That
like
lady
that.
from the Andy Griffith
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarah.
Who eavesdrops on your conversation all
Yeah.
the time and then tells the neighbors.
You got to talk to
Yeah.
Sarah.
So, but yeah, it's just the ability to pick your pieces and design a synth across the board. And then also, you know, we are dealing with old school voltage. It's not MIDI. So, doing that, MIDI is stair stepped, voltage is linear. So, it's smoother.
I
There's
never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's- So everything voltage, it's not stair stepped. It's not 127 increments. It's -5 to +5 and that's what makes it cool because you never get it where it was. You
It's
can
never
never
as exactly.
You could turn your synth off and turn it back on again, and it's not going to sound the same. It's just not. It's
That
just-
would drive
you're
me
s-
crazy.
Exactly. It drives. It's a very nerdy thing to have. Very nerdy
Yeah.
thing to have.
Yeah.
But it allows. But what it does for me is I go to the modular and I get these wild ideas and I get these boopy sounds going, and I'll just capture them in Ableton, just little clips, and then I'll sit down and go, oh, that would sound great on my Moog.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, that little bleepy bleepy became a melody line that became a song that became a thing.
Ah.
So it's it's like the ultimate throw the spaghetti at the wall kind of a thing.
Right, yeah.
It's all nothing but happy accidents. What you go in to do with it and it's never what you come out with. It's I don't care what modular synth artist you talk to. Oh, I went in to do some techno and came out with techno. No, that's not what happened, man. That's not what happened. Not in a million years. So, but that's what's great about it is it's so random and unreproducible. And that's what makes it like it's an in the moment thing.
I was
it's
going
not
to say
a
in the moment, yeah.
John Anderson, one of my favorite singers, told the story about him being with Vangelis and how they're getting drunk and he's just Vangelis is at the piano
Yeah.
and John Anderson is singing and it gets really good and Val goes hold on and he starts setting up microphones and he wants to record it and John's just like no, why can't we just enjoy this? Why do we have to record? Why do we have to make this a thing?
Right.
Why can't we just enjoy what's happening?
Yeah.
That's what modular synthesis is. It's just like whatever's going on is what's going on and everybody gets to experience it and then it goes away.
And people get to experience it. You do a Twitch stream like once a week or something? Live stream?
I used to, but now I'm playing out more. So if anybody's interested, two of the best events to go to are Freak Boutique. It's first Tuesday every month at Fort Greene. It's open mic for modular.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and then if you're up in Boulder, there's
my
Rocky
gosh.
Mountain Synthesizer Meetup, which is basically the same thing.
And I do know about the Rocky Mountain
Yeah.
meetup. That's apparently a good
Is
group,
Fort Greene,
yes.
is that a place in Denver?
Yeah, it's on like where you get off on Washington at the Mousetrap and
Yeah.
you do a U-turn on 45th. It's right there.
Oh,
It's like a
that's
block
so close
up.
to our
That's
studio.
right by our,
We have to
check
drop
that
by
place
there.
out.
Yes. Oh my God. It's hosted by WMD, and they're a modular maker here in Denver.
Oh, okay. Cool.
WMD is a pedal company,
Pedal,
and synth company,
synthesizer,
and they're a Denver
sometimes.
company.
William Mathewson Devices. He's
they
a genius.
They make wacky stuff. They
Wacky
make
fucking
genius
shit.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the first Tuesday's coming up soon here.
Okay.
It's going to
You
be
guys wanna
next
go?
Tuesday.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Meet us
We should
there.
go.
It is a
Yeah.
blast, and it's early. It's 7.
Oh,
it's
that's
an old
perfect.
It's old people
That's
show.
perfect. Yes.
Old people show. So, but yeah, this again to come full circle. These are all just things that like. So now I DJ as Arma. I play synthesizers with Modulus 10. Everybody knows me in the bass community as C3, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
And anybody out there looking for a
I-
bass player, I'm
know,
available.
I have to. I'm saying this as such a huge compliment. I so admire how, from talking to you and knowing you, you've consistently found new things to get into and new areas of
have
music.
to.
And I tell Adrian all the time, it's one of my literal phobias is as we all age.
Obsolescence?
No, it's
Musical obsolescence.
it's calcifying into
a thing.
a thing
Yeah,
and not being
I
able to
agree.
evolve and not being able to find new things cool and
If you told me 2 years ago, hey Chris, 2 years,
You're going
you're
to
gonna
be
be like
DJ?
a
gonna be
furry.
doing-
You're gonna be a furry DJ. I'd be like,
I love that
you
about you, dude. I love that about you.
hi.
I admire it so much because I literally my phobia is
you're-
I don't want to be
you're
one
right.
of those. They stopped making good records in 1997, and like I know dudes who
no.
are that way, and I'm like,
You just gotta know where to look. Here's the problem. It's not that music's not there. The delivery mechanism that everybody's accustomed to is not there. Independent DJs on radio stations, independent bars. Everything is force fed to us by AEG. And that's, you got to play the game if you want to play in this town or you play Herman's, which is still cool. But
Yeah.
But, it's everything is corporate owned. Everything is now money driven.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. I miss the days where we used to go hang out outside in clubs and hang out flyers.
It's not that I don't
and
miss
do
it.
that interaction.
Yeah, I miss it too.
Yeah, but now and then we're back to the one trick pony thing again. You can't be a band unless you frickin' make it, and even then, your record company's gonna take most of everything from you.
Sure.
You just can't do it anymore. I mean, people are like, you look at Taylor Swift, and it's just like, holy crap! And then people go on America's Got Talent thinking they're gonna be the next Taylor Swift, and you're
Yeah.
And that is not at all what.
oh my
She
God.
also probably spends most of her time not on the music part of it, the business
I think
and
she
the
pi-
building the show.
I think
and
she
the-
has really good people behind her,
Well,
and she
she-
gets to do that. She gets
She's
to pay
basically
people.
running a corporation though,
Yeah.
because she's hiring.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, that's what I was trying to explain to one of my very young students. Like, number one, how many Taylor Swifts can the market bear? You can't just also be Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? Like we've got Microsoft and Apple. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, how many giants can a market? Yeah. But also, that's now the new bar. Yeah. Like you can't think like, I'll just go on a show and get discovered and then I can go do stadiums on that level. It's like, no, you've got to now.
I'll do the perfect YouTube video and Usher will find me.
Yeah. It's like now you've got to be even better than that.
But doesn't that also feed into the whole bullshit we're experiencing now with the music as a competition with these talent shows?
I hate that.
I hate that.
I hate those music competitions.
It's just like...
Because everybody wants a shortcut. Everybody wants to just get discovered.
And the worst part about that is just to perform on those things, you sign a contract.
And giving it all away.
Yeah. They get first right of... So even if they don't pick you,
but even
if somebody else wants you, they get first right of refusal.
The whole notion of that competition is not about authenticity. It's about...
It's your backstory.
No, well, it's that and something big and mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's not about any sort of musical message or any sort of personal... actual story being told. I mean, we've got story told in the drama of the TV, but that's
but it's just a TV show. I mean, dude, I don't even like Battle of the Bands. Like, I don't think music should be competition.
Battle of the Bands, where the only loser is the audience.
You may have just titled the episode.
I stole that. No, I stole that from Jacob. I stole that from Jacob. That was one of his. Every time Chris from Herman's tried to get us to play one of those Battle of the Bands, he's like, nope.
The only loser is the audience.
That might be the title of this episode. The only loser is the audience.
Well, speaking of the episode, maybe we should head toward a wrap in this one, huh?
Oh, cool.
Let's wrap it. So speaking of viral, by the way, absolutely worth mentioning. You went. I think you've done it several times, but was it a 21-string bass?
God, I hope
you're never
gonna make it through the day. But no,
it went so big. I saw that from so many things that was completely unrelated. It became a meme.
I got 1.2 million views on the video that Hipshot shot the day I received it at NAMM, because I picked it up at NAMM. Oscar, the guy who built it, brought it to NAMM, and I went and got it, brought it over to my booth, plugged it in, and before I could do anything, the guy with the Hipshot camera, the guy who made all the hardware for it, was like, "Is that the bass?" And he was rolling. I'm like, "Oh fuck!" So while I'm on the video, I'm watching my feed.
Don't forget your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm watching my feed, and people are just like, "This is the dumbest thing ever. You're a dick for making that." It was just like all this. But my favorite comment was, "Megatron wants his dick back." Right? It was just like, it's a guitar. I own a string company. It was to show that, fuck you people. I'm going to play this in a band now. Yeah. It was a marketing thing we did. But it was a 24-string bass, 8-string, triple chorus.
Oh, okay.
And,
got it.
And it was awesome. And it was one of those things where we did it to show all the products we made on one instrument. And it just turned out
brilliant. Yeah.
But it turned out to be an amazing playable instrument that I toured with in Princess. It was my main bass.
And
but it was a 24-string.
503
Davey 504 has it now.
504. That's crazy.
And I know he bought it from me. And
so those who don't know, Davey 504 is a huge
YouTube star, all on bass.
Italian bassist.
Kid.
Yeah.
So, and my favorite story is to ship him the bass would have been $3,000 because in the case it weighed like 200 pounds because it had a huge anvil case. The bass weighed like 48 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
As like 4 Les Pauls. It was so heavy.
Oh my gosh.
It was in a stand. I don't know if you ever noticed all my videos. It's in a stand.
Oh,
and I'm
no, I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's got this custom stand. Anyway, so Davey wanted to do a video with it, and he's like, "Could you just ship it to me for a month?" And I'm like, "It's total strangers asking me to ship me like $10,000." So, but at the time, I was like, I had it for 4 years. It was a one-trick pony. It had done what it was done. So I was like, "I'll sell it to you." So I sold it to him, but it was like gonna be close to $2,000 or $3,000 to ship it. So it was cheaper to send it as luggage with my mother on a trip, including her plane ticket, to go to Italy. And the best part is, as if you know Davey 504, he's 6'7".
Oh,
he's
no.
I had no idea.
He's gigantic.
Oh,
and my mom
gosh.
is a flat 5. And the picture of her dropping off the bass, he met her at the airport.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she literally doesn't make it to his nipple. and she's standing with the bass. Anyway, but yeah, that's my favorite. But no, Davey has it. No, I've been blessed with disrupting the internet musically a couple of times.
And that's what I mean. You've had a lot of
the "Hey, it's me, Guitario" was the best meme like ever. People are like, aren't you offended by that? It's like, if you're offended by shit like that, you are in the wrong industry.
I don't know this meme.
I wore a green zoot suit to NAMM, and I'm holding the 24-string bass, and I got this handlebar mustache, and I look like Mario.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, it's a me, Guitario. Oh, and it got bad. There were so many.
There were so many
based around that picture.
In the guitar,
and they were all good. I mean, there wasn't one I went, ow. Yeah. They were all like, fucking spot on, man.
That's funny. You can't
like
get
one
mad
guy,
if
he's
it's
like,
funny.
And one guy posted, "What are you compensating for?" I go, a shitty guitarist. But no, yeah, and then our sub cabinets did the same thing. We released a bass cabinet, went down to 8 cycles, and people were like, "You can't hear that, but you can feel it."
Of course, you can feel it.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Whoa.
So we've done a bunch of. We made bass strings that go down. Oh, you can tune your bass to 13 cycles. G sharp.
Why that's that begs the question of
there?
like, why would you have an amp that produces sounds your instrument can't make?
You should try it sometime. Go to the Kalium website.
Okay.
You should pick one of you were bitching how many cheap guitars you
Yeah.
have. Take one of them and just decide to tune it down an octave, a whole fucking octave, and we have a set of strings for it. And actually, you can go 2 if you want to, but it's a little crazy.
Yeah.
But it'll be full tension. It'll be standard tension. It'll feel exactly like your guitar. It'll
Wild.
just be an octave. We make guitar strings down to a 184.184. And we make bass strings down to a 0.266. It's over a quarter of an inch.
I know that doesn't mean anything to anybody, but that's insane.
That's a really thick string.
Kalium music. But the whole point is we make everything in between. I keep saying I used to own the company. I don't anymore. The whole point was whatever note you wanted to tune your instrument to, we could give you a string that would give you exact tension for that note.
So we're going to wrap it up.
Anyway, wrap it up.
Yeah,
Thank you for
time to wrap it
having
up.
me.
Thank you for coming over.
Thank you for coming. That was amazingly fun.
So much
That
fun.
was like a brain dump of my past.
No, that was.
I want to send you some horrible
rad.
pictures of me in the 80s too, because we talked about that.
Okay.
I had a skullet. I had a mullet.
Let's slot
I had
a lot of
dreads.
these in.
Yeah, we'll put 'em
That'd be
in.
so
I'll send
much
you a
fun.
bunch of
So, yeah.
pictures to slot it. I don't mind it. I love being embarrassed. If you can't laugh at yourself, you're in the wrong industry.
We always do fake sponsors. No, they're not fake. They're very real, and we really appreciate them. As always, we are sponsored by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio.
Satisfied customer.
Chris, Kalium Strings. We
Yeah, that's
appreciate
not
theirs.
me, but they're awesome.
Yeah.
Please, I mean, if you're interested in thinking outside of the box, check with Kalium Music. Also, I do have Luigi's is still open. If you're a modular synthesis, go check out Luigi's Modular Supply.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to see me dressed as a lion throwing down some progressive house, go to amra-thelion.live.
We'll put all those links in the description.
Sweet!
Yeah, nice. Dude, thank you so much for
Oh,
coming.
thank you. This was a
so
blast.
much fun.
My first music podcast.
Yeah.
Might be a 2-parter. Why would I say that at the end?
I don't know.
'Cause it either
Just a
is
heads
or it
up.
isn't.
Heads up.
Just a heads up. You just listened to a 2-parter.
It's only an hour. I only see an hour and 12
Hour.
minutes.
Yeah, maybe
you
it'll be
can
a
make
one-parter.
this.
We'll
You
see.
can
Maybe we
chop
can do a
this
long
down.
one.
Yeah.
Remember, you can take out all that.
Yeah, there's
stuff.
the furnace talk.
If you heard anything
Furnace
about
talk.
the furnace talk,
People
I'm
like our
sorry.
furnace talk stuff. We have a large number of heating and cooling professionals who listen
Oh
to this
my
podcast.
god, that is too freaking funny, you guys.
Okay.
I love it.
All right.
No, this was fun.
We're
Thank you for
closing
having
it
me.
down.
Okay.
Thank
Closing
you.
down.
Okay,
Bye,
we'll see you next
all.
week. Bye.